Welcome back. Yelling and Screaming Club 602's best NFL show. I think that's accurate.
That's right.
Conference championships. Sean, how you doing, man?
Not too bad. Had a fun weekend down in Tucson. Made sure I got myself back up here so I could get here and talk to you guys about one of my favorite things of the year, football season, specifically playoffs, when it gets real intense. And there's going to be two really good games here today. So pretty excited about that.
Well, the Seahawks here, obviously, as predicted, intended. Rams took the hard road, but we end up with a NFC West championship game and the conference championship. And then on the AFC side, just as everyone predicted, it's Drake Maye and Bo Nix. Nothing can really rain on this parade. I think that's the show. I think that's really all we needed to cover today, right?
Pretty much, but not quite. I think that a few other people had a few different opinions, especially if you looked at the early season. You had a couple teams that looked really great there. The Colts people were very much freaking out about like what's going on with this team. They're coming out hot. You had Tampa Bay that came out really hot. The Rams, they made it, but they made it real tough for themselves later on in the season. Seattle kind of cruised the whole season. The Pats cruised and the Broncos cruised, but you hit some road bumps and games don't necessarily look the same going to at this point in the playoffs. So, I mean, there's a lot of people out there who necessarily could totally have seen these two games as the conference championships, and a few other people who definitely would have been scratching their heads, going, not exactly what I expected. So, but watching these teams play throughout the season and what they did successfully and how they played against the right opponents at the right time, you could tell that they were the ones gearing up for this type of run, and it's kind of cool to see the teams that were essentially the top teams in the NFL actually be the ones to make it here. It really just goes to show that the regular season does matter, positioning matters, and when you look at the analysis, you can actually point to specific gameplay, but overall just good teams playing good when they needed to win games to make it to the conference championship.
Obviously, I think biggest story, I don't know there'd be too much argument, is Jarrett Stidham starting for the Denver Broncos. But before we jump into these games, Sean, we missed you last week. Did you have any last thoughts on the divisional round? Were there anything that you wanted to call out specifically from last weekend's games?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my favorite thing and thing that I've come to be a fan of is the Josh Allen legacy and talking about what that really means. And this right here kind of puts that to bed a little bit. It was his kryptonite was supposedly only Patrick Mahomes. Every year it was, Josh got cheated out of this. They changed the rules to make sure that Josh Allen got extra chances at the end of games to be able to make the Super Bowl. And every year Patrick Mahomes put him on his back. And he comes in, he plays against the Denver team and puts a good game up and still ends up losing. And so what's the takeaway from there? Do you say that, hey, is this another one of those? Well, there's an incredible defense and his teams just couldn't do what they needed to do to stop him, or is this come on now, like Josh Allen is human like everybody else, and football's a game of inches. Every week matters, and sometimes a guy just can't pull the trigger. So my thought was, if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, Josh Allen right now, arguably the greatest Bills quarterback of all time. He's got his MVP. He's put up great statistics, look great on the field in the regular season, and even performing pretty decently in the playoffs to get you to the conference championships. But if Josh Allen never makes a Super Bowl, and I'm not talking about winning a Super Bowl, but I'm saying never makes a Super Bowl, do you still have him as the greatest Bills quarterback? Because if I'm a Bills fan,
I think you have to. Because they don't have any rings at all, right? So,
not even making a Super Bowl, though? If he doesn't make a Super Bowl, I'm not talking about winning a Super Bowl. I'm talking about making it, period. Jim Kelly went to 4 in a row and lost 4 in a row. But he made 4 Super Bowls in a row. Losing 4 championships in a row, I'd say, is pretty difficult to do. Making 4 championships in a row, obviously, is fucking very, very difficult to do. If Josh Allen doesn't make it at all, What does that say about his legacy? And again, he could put up Dan Marino-esque numbers for the entirety of his career. He would have to in order for his legacy for me to really be cemented like that. I don't know. He's a really, really good quarterback. But that's
the Bills obviously took their path, right? Replacing a coach here. There's not a lot of great hires out, but we'll see. We'll see what exactly happens. I know our resident Bills fan has said Bill Belichick. He said Phillip Rivers, Anthony Lynn, and he said he'd be happy with all three of those because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So I don't know. I don't know how Buffalo feels, but I'm kind of with you. Josh Allen, I think I said it a couple weeks ago. I don't think his legacy would be tarnished by not winning, but this is kind of a different angle and making an argument he's not the greatest Bills quarterback, I think has some legs to it in the situation you laid out. So I still think that his overall legacy wouldn't be tarnished. But maybe the upside is capped, like you're speaking to. I think that's legitimate.
I mean, is he closer to Dan Marino than Phillip Rivers? Is he closer than Tony Romo? Like all those guys who just never could pull the trigger. Is he closer to them, or is he closer to a Tom Brady?
That's the other end of the spectrum, right? Eli. That's the point. Eli or Aaron Rodgers.
No, I can't do Eli only because Eli had some great defenses, and his performance when it mattered got him to where he needed to be. But
if you're talking about low-run guys with a ring, right?
Aaron Rodgers, one ring,
Roethlisberger,
MVPs, Roethlisberger. Couple rings, but guys who I don't know, man. I put those guys above them because when they needed to get the wins, they got it. They put their bodies on the line. They did everything.
Matty Ice? He had a Super Bowl loss.
Yeah, but at least he got there.
New director of football operations, by the way, Matt Ryan, hired by the Falcons to run football ops.
Hey, they need some people in that organization right now to turn it around a little bit. I mean, the mid-tier, they were too mid-tier this year to keep that organization the way it's going. But yeah, no, that's kind of where I'm sitting at with Josh Allen. And to look at a couple other teams, I mean, we can talk about how Seattle absolutely destroyed San Francisco. No one expected San Francisco to, in my opinion, no one really expected San Francisco to even make it that far. All season, their team was injured left and right. If you want to talk about Coach of the Year, I mean, you can talk about Vrabel with an incredible team taking a rookie this far. We can talk about Chicago, but I mean a team that just was marred by injuries, and for them to make it as far as they did, I give my hat to Harbaugh there. I really do.
Yeah, Mike McDonald's my Coach of the Year. He gets my vote for the Seahawks. Taking replacement level players, or so we thought, right? They swapped out the whole offense. And I mean, they're the best team in football in my eye right now. But let's get into the games, because that kind of is going to dovetail. I don't want to get too far into that Seahawks conversation until we're talking Seahawks. But let's start in the AFC. Patriots Broncos. As I said off the top of the show, the massive storyline here is that potential MVP candidate Bo Nix is out. The Broncos come into this game without their leading passer, without their leading rusher. Obviously running the ball. They have Harvey. The Patriots come in pretty damn healthy. And Sean, as I'm doing my prep work for this, I think the thing that stood out, like Denver's defense, Denver's secondary is phenomenal. The Patriots are really close behind that. This Patriots secondary unit play really, really good football. And without Bo Nix, these Denver wide receivers look pretty pedestrian. So that's the matchup I'm looking for, is Stidham, who can throw probably further and harder than Bo Nix, against a really, really good Patriots secondary.
I'm sorry to say this. Stidham isn't credited with a single snap for the entire season. Not one.
He had one kneel down.
He had one. He's not credited with any snaps, realistically. Let's be honest. Like, one kneel, like, come on. What are we doing here? This is not a situation in Philadelphia where your backup quarterback comes in and really has a pedigree to be able to win you a game. Stidham is not in my opinion, really was not a starting quarterback in the NFL. And when you look at how dynamic Bo Nix was with his legs, that's what's really going to affect them. Because yes, they're losing. They lost. They already had lost their leading rusher in Dobbins, but Dobbins, Nix and Harvey were able to combine for 116, 117 rush yards per game, which allows your team to control more clock. It also allows your team to be able to open up the field when you have the opportunities to. Their receiver core isn't top tier receiver core. It's not like they're out there with Pro Bowl caliber receivers for the Broncos, realistically. So we're looking at an organization that's got a passer who is also very good with his legs, who's merely more of a playmaker than anything. I wouldn't necessarily call Bo Nix a passer. He's definitely a playmaker. He does what he needs to do to get the ball down the field. And you replace him with a guy who, in my opinion, he definitely has a stronger arm. You're not wrong about that. But overall, just doesn't have the same game intellect, doesn't have the same pedigree, and putting up against a very strong defensive team right now in the Patriots, who, even though people can say they had a softer schedule throughout the regular season, they're showing you right now in the playoffs that didn't mean shit. That their 4,000-yard passer and their rush game with their potential offensive rookie of the year, they're not a team to be toiled with. And so this is going to be a game where the defenses are going to look really good, and it's going to feel like, I don't know, Stidham's going to give me very CJ Stroud-esque numbers, in my opinion. It's going to feel like that Texans game where the defenses looked really good and the offense is going to look really stagnant, in my opinion. That's what I expect to see today from the Broncos. Stidham's really going to have to step it up.
I think the big difference there is that Stidham won't lose you a game the way Stroud will. If he can step in and game manage, Denver still has the best defense in the league-ish, probably. Stidham was handpicked by a coach who knows how to build replacement players into the plan. I'm not saying Stidham wins this game for the Broncos. I'm saying that there's little to no chance, in my opinion, Stidham loses this game for the Broncos. So then what it comes down to for me is Drake Maye, who is a phenomenal quarterback. Can Denver's secondary keep Drake Maye in check the way they have good quarterbacks all year? I think Denver offensively, you're one shot from Stidham to Mims away from being in the lead for this entire game if Denver's defense can hold the Patriots to 14, 17 points.
I just don't see that. I don't have any evidence to suggest that Stidham is going to lead an offense to a 20, 25 point game. I don't have any evidence to suggest that realistically. And
if you control the line of scrimmage and field position, right? If you turn it into field goal games,
then he's got to kick. They're going to kick what, 7 field goals? I don't see that being the case. I mean, you're not wrong.
3 field goals get you 9 points, right? And then a touchdown gets you to 16, 14.
We're talking about having an offense that I don't expect to be able to move the field in the same way because they can't. They don't have the rushers, and it's going to be they're going to get after him. They're going to pin their head. They're going to pin their ears back, and they're going to get after Stidham. You're going to talk about the Broncos having to control their offensive line. The Broncos won a lot of their games by one score. A lot of their games were one-score games. We're not talking about a team that was blowing people out and now replacing a star quarterback with another guy where now the game kind of feels almost evenly matched. We're talking about a team that squeaked by in a lot of games here because their defense was so phenomenal. This team is very reminiscent of the Chiefs team that lost the Super Bowl to the Eagles. We're talking about a team whose offense was putting up 22, 23 points a game, but only giving up 17. Counter that to a team whose offense was putting up 27, 28 points a game. And again, with a very good running back who a potential offensive rookie of the year in Travion Henderson. We're talking about a quarterback who's arguably one of your MVP candidate potentially with over 4,000 passing yards. We're talking about a solid wide receiver core. We're not talking about, say what you want, but Diggs is good. And Booty's solid, and they're looking good right now. Like their team is clicking on all cylinders. We're talking about a defense that has been able to get after quarterbacks when they needed to. has been able to allow their offense to manage the game clock as much as possible. That's what I'm expecting here. I'm expecting the Broncos are not going to be on the field for very long on offense. Their defense is going to be a field for much longer, and that fatigue catches up to you no matter how good your defense is. Broncos defense could be on the field for this game for 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
If
I think it's reasonable.
If the clock is that bad, it could be a rough day. It could be a rough day.
I'd look at the Patriots pass rush, and with Landry out, what if they don't get to Stidham, right? Like, what is the value of Stidham hanging in the pocket? I'm not sure the Broncos wide receivers are good enough for it to matter.
Yeah, they don't get the separation.
But if they can go underneath, right? If you do designed rollouts, which the Broncos offense has in spades, right? And dump the ball off to Harvey, get the ball at the tight ends. If you can flip that time of possession even a little bit, right? Drake Maye has had explosive plays this year, but when the Patriots are at their best, it's when they are controlling the ball all the way down the field. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like if you're forcing Drake Maye to push, he's capable of doing that. He's a really good quarterback. But if you can force him into that situation enough, the Broncos secondary is going to have opportunities, right? Like that's kind of if I'm trying to convince myself into a Broncos win, that's how it has to happen, right?
Yeah.
Like you need Drake Maye gunning it, and there's inherent risk to that because he's not CJ Stroud, he's Drake Maye, right? So he's going to complete more of those than he misses. He's not going to make the same mistakes. So yeah, speed him up, speed up the game, but that's either the ticket to winning by 3 or losing by 21. Like, so the line opened 4.5. It got bet down to 3.5 Patriots. I can see how you get there, right? Total at 43. That's what is that? 21-17, 20 to 14, right in that range.
I don't know. They're just expecting this to be a super strong defensive game then. That's the only thing I can expect here. And I just don't feel that same way with the time management, with the clock, man. I mean, I just don't see that you cannot tell me that a team, I don't give a shit how good their defense is. If they lose their starting running back and they use their starting quarterback in a playoff game against one of the best offensive teams in the NFL this season, and you tell me that it's going to be a 3-point game? Is it? I mean, are they doing this because they're playing in Denver? Are they giving the field and the altitude that much credit? Because
I think they're giving the defense that much credit. Like these. You can make an argument these are the best 2 defenses in the league.
I mean, their last 2 left. Probably the best 2 left.
I mean, New England gave up 320 points. Denver gave up 311. And Seattle's at 292, which is insane.
Insane. Right?
They also
17 points a game, dude.
Twice.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, New England played the Jets twice.
That's fair. That is fair.
And Miami.
We were kind of robbed of if Bo Nix is in, this is like game of the year. Like this is exactly where these 2 teams have been destined to be since like early October. Like this is it, man. This is the best in the AFC. And with very few exceptions, you can't even begin to make an argument that these aren't the 2 best teams in the AFC, right? Offense, defense, total team. So to lose Bo Nix really takes some of the wind out of this. But say they win, right? Say the Broncos win. However the scenario plays out. Mm-hmm. The Rams or the Seahawks win the Super Bowl. You can't have this overwhelming come from behind scrappy mentality with Jarrett Stidham twice. It doesn't work twice. If they can beat this Patriots team, there's no way in hell they get through. It's probably Seattle, right? I don't think they get through the Rams either. But
we're looking at right now the 3 best offenses in the NFL and Jarrett Stidham. We are looking at right now, arguably, and not talking about late in the season where the Rams had that absolute collapse. When they had that absolute collapse, we're looking at, we're looking at 4 of the best defenses in the NFL. If you're talking about a healthy Rams team earlier on in the season where they were playing lights out, we're talking about three teams that could put up 40 points in any game, and the Denver Broncos. And so their defense is so phenomenal that if they get hot anywhere, if they're locked down, and Bo Nix's job really was to just manage and keep the game going, then yeah, they could absolutely hold these teams potentially. But realistically, right now, these teams are also just as hungry, if not hungrier. And their guys are all locked in. They're healthy. They're ready to go. So I just don't see how this could be any less than a 1-2 score game with the Patriots running the clock as much as possible, forcing that Denver defense to really to really try to get after them and try to slow them down and try to keep them from using as much game clock as possible because they're going to be behind. Like I just can't see that being the case. But
I laid the 3.5 with the Patriots. I'm on the under. My pick is the Patriots. I will be cheering for the Broncos for every second of this game.
Fair enough. I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that.
So who are you picking? I think it's pretty obvious. But
I'm going to take the Patriots in this game. It pains me to say so. As a Raiders fan, as a Philadelphia native, it pains me to say that the Patriots are the team that I'm picking in this game. But it is what it is.
Magic happens sometimes.
It does.
I don't know that Stidham is.
But Stidham is not Nick Foles. Foles was a starting quarterback in the NFL before he ended up being a backup.
I mean, Stidham's played 4 games. He started 4 games in the NFL.
That is not a.
Al calls out. He's 1-3 as a starter. So.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Jumping to the NFC, man, all week it's been these two teams are within 1 point and 1 yard of each other.
Yep.
In 2 matchups this season. Can't get much closer than that.
Not just that, but their builds are so freaking similar. I mean, obviously Stafford slinging the rock is definitely, I had him up there as my MVP candidate this year. I also had Darnold not far behind, but if you look at the turnovers versus the touchdown to turnover ratio, it's not even close. But if you look at the run games, I mean, yes, obviously Kyron Williams, Blake Corum 1-2 punch. You look at the Kenneth Walker. You look at the Charbonnet 1-2 punch. You look at the receiver core down the line. You've got 1,700-yard receiver in JSN, 1,700-yard receiver in Puka Nacua, and then your second receiver, you got Devontae Adams, guy who we've known for the last couple of years to be one of the better receivers in the NFL. Great hands. You got Cooper Kupp, another possession type receiver to complement JSN. It's just the teams offensively look so strong in comparison, and then defensively, if we don't talk about the collapse that happened with the Rams there in the middle of the season, we're talking about two teams who, on paper, could very well have been evenly matched on defense, but obviously with the Rams giving up a lot more points and a lot later in the season to get themselves where they are and have that tougher battle. But it's going to be a very tough game, in my opinion, for both teams, because they're both going to be, their defenses are going to try to lock in as much as possible, try to keep these offenses off the field, and try to keep these quarterbacks from deciphering what their next move is so that they can pick them apart.
Byron Young is questionable. I don't think there's any way in hell he does not play this game. We'll know closer to kickoff, obviously. This open Seahawks 1.5. It's been bet to 2.5. Total at 45.5. Now we had a in-stadium resource last week for the Seahawks game. Al went to the divisional game, said it was loud. Obviously, that's kind of what they're known for up there. Rams are used to playing in Seattle. I don't know that it is gonna have as much of an impact as it would against a less experienced quarterback, less experienced team. But obviously, you'd rather have a home game than be in that empty cavern that the Rams play in. I don't know for me. Making the argument for the Rams, you have the MVP at quarterback. You have a very successful running game. I don't know necessarily that we can take the first two games between these teams and apply it here. I think we're going to see some of those plays they've been holding on to. Obviously, the goal, right, is to control the clock.
Mhm.
Whoever controls the clock here probably wins the game. It's not crazy. That's just football basics, right? But in a game where both teams can score almost at will, not having the ball in your opponent's hands seems to take on an even greater importance. So if I'm the Rams, maybe it's less of those explosive plays, right? Let them chase Puka down the field with a shell, with a double, and take everything underneath and move the ball, knowing that you can take the top off anytime you want. But, if the Rams get the ball first and they come out and they have a 10-minute drive and just suck the air out of that stadium, that might be what it takes to get on the board, stay up, and produce a winning effort here today. What do you see on the Rams? Like game plan the Rams for me. How do the Rams win this game?
Well, the beautiful thing about the Rams is that they have their full roster of receivers, and that's one thing that they, other than unlike some other teams, they got some guys who can move down the field. I think honestly, my X factor right now is going to be Tutu Atwell. Weirdly enough, he's averaging 32 yards per reception. So he's that weird deep threat that, I mean, Xavier Smith's solid. I mean, all their guys are solid. Whittington's solid. I mean, but you look at it and I say that guy right there, throw him in and and they're gonna look like they're moving the ball down the field and then boom, pop one over top. And I think honestly that it's gonna be a combination of them trying to control the game with the play with the at the line of scrimmage. I think they're going to use their run game to their as much as they can. They're going to try to keep Seattle occupied at the line, and then they're going to go for those deep shots when Stafford has the opportunity to, because that's what he's good at. He's got a great arm, great gameplay, smart player, and understands what the moment is. And funny enough, you look at Stafford for the earlier part of his career at the Lions, and just couldn't. And obviously, it just the organization just wasn't there. And then he comes to the Rams, wins immediately, and now he's looking at knocking on the door of a second win, and you go, man, like this is what his career could have been the entire time if he just had a few pieces around him to really get it going. So I mean, I just expect him to come out today with a load of confidence, understanding what this moment means. He's been here before. He knows how to win in this situation. He knows how to play against solid defenses. And granted, the 1 point, three is it was it 2 points in the first game and 1 point in the second game was the difference in the scores. But the first game was much more of a defensive matchup. 21-19, not a lot of scoring going on, and I think that's to the benefit of Seattle, in my opinion. I think it's going to be to the benefit of Seattle. If it's a shootout, realistically, I think that for a healthy Rams team, it benefits them. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I think that's the key to this game is really Stafford hitting his receivers and kind of switching it up, making sure that that Seattle defense has been phenomenal all year, stays on their toes and keeps them guessing.
Other side of the ball, we've talked a lot about Charbonnet and Walker. I criticized the team quite a bit earlier in the year for not having one running back, right? And the two guys always added up to an RB1. Charbonnet comes out, Walker does what he's capable of, right? Really, really no drop off. It might hurt you a little bit not to have that pacing. But I mean, Walker's had a half workload all year. This guy might be the most rested running back left. If he can do what he did last week, obviously all the defenses that are left are better than the Niners. But man, when he gets running downhill, head full of steam, he's scary. He's scary, man. Wow. Al says Cooper Kupp 2 touchdowns today. So let's talk wide receiver core for the Seahawks. Obviously JSN is the guy. But being the guy comes with some defensive pressure, right? No one has really been able to stop him this year. 1,800 yards receiving is pretty damn impressive, but only in air quotes, only 10 touchdowns. Do you think it's plausible? Can Cooper Kupp in the intermediate and the underneath be a release valve for Darnold and do some of the heavy lifting through the middle of the field for the Seahawks today?
Absolutely, and I think that there's a couple ways that they can do that. They can put them on the shoot them, put them on the same side, and have them split the D out. Have Cup underneath, JSN on the outside, kind of force that safety to kind of do some things and make some difficult decisions. And then Rashid Shaheed, honestly, he can be just a distraction over there. Again, mix up some routes and kind of get these guys crossing and get him into some space. You can get Cup over the middle. You know he's a guy who doesn't shy away from the middle of the field. He'll take some hits. And so I think that that's probably going to be where Cup can get that going. JSN, not necessarily the biggest touchdown guy, but you know he's going to get his receptions. And so realistically, he's going to get you down the field. Cup's going to sneak in there. He's going to be a guy who might go in motion coming up behind the tight end and just kind of split out on a drag, or split on the outside a little bubble, and then boom, like he get him in space, and that guy can really move. And so I think that there's absolutely opportunity for him to be able to do that in this offense. And then it depends on where they can really confuse that Seattle defense. The Rams defense. I will say that the Rams defense is not as sound as Seattle's is. No pun intended. They definitely have a few more holes in their secondary. And their linebacker core hasn't performed slightly as well as Seattle's has. And so there's a little bit more space, I think, that Cooper Kupp might be able to sit in the middle of the field and kind of give himself the opportunity to get a couple balls and be able to get those touchdowns. If they get down to the 5-10 yard line and they have all of their weapons available, then you're going to see Kupp be a primary receiver in the red zone.
Al came back in and says Barner 1 touchdown. Al, if Cooper Kupp has 2 touchdowns and Barner has a touchdown, I guarantee the Seahawks win this game. There's no way. The game flow doesn't work with that without them being up big. I could see it. Barner to score is 2-1 money. They've used him underneath when the receivers get real tied up. I don't hate it. I'm trying to find Kupp 30-1 for Kupp on 2 touchdowns. It's pretty good value.
Not bad numbers.
Actually.
I mean, you're looking at a guy who understands the game, and he is a very, very, very good receiver when it comes to contested balls as well, difficult balls to throw. And so Donald doesn't necessarily have to put the ball in the best spot. He's just got to put it somewhere in a good vicinity away from the defender, and Kupp can get to that ball. And I think that that's going to be a benefit to him, especially when you get down to the red zone. He'll be able to kind of drop some balls lower than some balls right around the shoelaces, and Kupp will get down there and get to it. And so I think that would definitely be a benefit down there. Barner is going to be big because you're going to need somebody you're going to need just a big body in the middle. And I can definitely see him kind of splitting out some blocks and kind of just chipping a guy on a little play action, because you got to make sure that you're keeping an eye on those running backs. And then so I see him on a little play action. I'd see him just dip out a little bit and just kind of sit in the middle. So those 2 up the middle of the field, I think, is going to be the best options for Darnold when it comes to the red zone.
I've gone back and forth on this game all week. The recency bias of the Seahawks absolutely throttling the 49ers is hard to overlook, because that potential's there, right? That is the ultimate output of the offense and the defense of the Seahawks team. I don't think it's the most likely outcome, but knowing that it's there is living rent-free in my head, and I'm having trouble with this game. I think for me, I want to boil it down and talk about elite level players. And in my opinion, the Rams have 3 and the Seahawks have a half, however you want to divvy up JSN. I think the Seahawks are better across the board, but I think the Rams have 3 elite level players in Stafford, Byron Young, and Jared Verse. And I think those 3 positions are what determine this game. I think they're going to get to Darnold. I think they're going to hit him. I don't know if the sacks will be there, but the pressures are going to be there.
Okay.
And I think Stafford has the capability to win this game on his own.
I agree with that. I think Stafford. If we're talking about two evenly matched teams or very close to evenly matched teams, we definitely have Stafford having the ability to win more likely than Darnold. But in that same light, I think Darnold has a better chance against Stafford's defense than Stafford has against Darnold's defense. I think that especially where you are playing at too, that's not an easy place to play at all. And so I think if we get to the point where we're looking at a one-score game and there's 2 minutes left on the clock, I actually think that both quarterbacks will end up both teams can score in that time period. It just depends on who's scoring a touchdown and who's scoring a field goal.
Make sure you drop those predictions in the chat. Al's got the Seahawks 35-31. That would be the over and the cover. Yeah, it's like I was saying. I think the Seahawks are better on the whole. I think they are the better NFL team. And so the question for me is like, can those elite level players overcome the better team? And I don't know that normally I'd say yes. But at those key positions, it just gives you such an advantage, right? Like at any time, they could get to Darnold and sack him at any time, any play, any drop back. One of those guys, Verse or Young, could just bull rush and do it. Like they're elite level pass rushers.
Absolutely.
And same with like Stafford. Like at any moment, he is capable of making the pass to win the game. Right? And so I keep coming back to that because everything in me is saying the Seahawks are the better team. The Seahawks win this game. And what I don't know is if they can be up by enough to survive strip sack fumble, Stafford to Nacua, Stafford to Adams, done, like a 10-point, 14-point flip in moments. If the Seahawks can take a 17-point lead at any point in this game, it's over. I think it's over.
I guess that's fair.
But if it's within two scores,
I think we're going to see a lot of lead changes in this game. You might see one team go up pretty early, halftime, maybe a 10-point lead, something like that. But I can definitely see the second half just being multiple lead changes. And I definitely expect that this is going to be a game where it's going to come down to third down conversions and field positioning. Because when you look at teams this good, offensively and defensively, they can move the ball down the field, and if the defenses can stop them, can force them into some 3 and outs, or force them into some short drives, that's really going to be the key. That's going to be.
Well, that dog is mad.
Yeah, he's annoyed. Get over here.
Okay, so we've gone through the offense, we've gone through the defense, we've hit those X factors. Who are you picking to win this game?
It's unfortunate, but I'm gonna have to go with the pedigree. I gotta go with the Rams here. I think that they are the only. I think the key here for me is that the Seahawks played so well all season that I never really felt the adversity from them. I never really felt like they had to I never really felt that as a team that they had to fight back in order to the Rams on the other hand, they had a slump in the middle of the season. It was a point where like, are they even going to make the playoffs? Like, what's going on here? And it seems like as they were able to get healthier and able to really, really step it up, it seems like the leadership took over. And I think that that's something that when you see in those really good teams, those top tier teams, it's not just playing well all season. It's not just being the best team in the NFC all season. It's about how well you can play in adversity. And the Rams playing on the road, Seattle's a tough place to play. But Stafford's just been incredible. I mean, they would have to have Stafford throw 40% of the number of interceptions that he threw all season for this really to be, for this to really feel. I mean, 5 picks all season. Like, if they can get him to get some interceptions, I mean, that's their best bet. But I just don't see it. I just don't see it. Say 8,
but
8 picks.
Point remains. The point remains.
Regular season 5, if I'm not mistaken.
Man, I think I need to pick the Seahawks. I need to pick the Seahawks here.
I'm good with that.
Under 3.5 total field goals in this game, -110. I think this is a touchdown style game here. Yeah, I'll lock it in. Give me the Seahawks. Give me the Rams plus 2.5. I don't.
Okay.
I think the Seahawks are the better team. I
Okay.
think it bears out.
They've been the better team all season.
It doesn't feel good though. It doesn't. I don't. I'm ecstatic about the slate, right? Other than Bo Nix being hurt, these are the games we deserve as football players, football fans. These are great championship games. I think anything short of the Broncos pulling something off crazy, we're guaranteed a fun Super Bowl matchup.
100%.
Sorry to the Broncos defense. You guys are phenomenal. It's over with Stidham.
Their defense will have to be literally legendary in order for this to happen. They would have to be a Bears Rex Grossman type defense in order to do. And they don't have a Devin Hester back there. I'm sorry, you just don't have it. Someone's got to score.
We are going to be off next week for the Pro Bowl week. We'll be back morning of the Super Bowl. And then we'll do one more show at the end of the season, kind of recap, talk some coaching news. There's a lot of coaching stuff going on.
Oh my goodness.
So we'll get into some of that, and then we'll get into our off season. So thanks for everyone popping in. Make sure you're putting your game picks in the chat. Make sure you're hopping on Chainlink. Both these games lit up as chain builders today. And tight spreads. However you think the game's going to play out. Vegas at least thinks these are going to be very tightly contested games. Vegas is rarely wrong. So, it's been a good year. It's been a good year.
It's been a good year for football. And honestly, looking at this right now, the slate, these four teams, if you started last year, if you look at the end of last year and you said, who's going to be the four teams in the conference championship? No one in their right mind would have said these four teams. Maybe LA would have been the only team that people kind of gave the nod to. Denver's defense was good. They played well last season, but just I couldn't see them being this good this season. Patriots definitely didn't see this coming, and Seattle, absolutely did not see that coming. So I think that this is great for football. We watched the Chiefs and the Bills on the one side, and we watched the Eagles for the last couple of years, and those are pretty much the only three teams that everybody kind of looked at. Oh, these are your Super Bowl teams. Your Super Bowl teams. Now it's really nice to see that the NFL scriptwriters actually understand that we don't want to just see the same teams play every year in the championship. We'd like to see some other guys get their shot, and it really goes to show that earlier in your career doesn't necessarily make your career. You got a couple of guys here, and Stafford, who was great his whole career, but just couldn't get with the right organization. And we got Darnold, who was trash at the beginning of his career. Obviously wasn't with the right organizations. Now they're in the right places at the right time. They're able to play. They're able to play up to their potential, and we're seeing that. And then counted on the other side. Drake Maye just stepped in, and who could have asked for anything better? The Patriots literally went from Tom Brady to Tom Brady.
Well, Jared Stidham was in the middle there.
Oh my goodness, they had a lot of trash in the middle of there. And then for the
revenge game. I'm gonna have to switch my pick.
Jared Stidham revenge game. Like he knew the offense when he was there. Get the fuck out of here. And then for the Broncos, both these organizations, they lucked out with their quarterback picks. So you've got two guys who are more journeyman, more storied, kind of had careers that kind of, didn't necessarily pan out as early on, and now they're really getting their shots. You got two young guys, in their second years in the league and really, really showing up. Obviously tough for Bo Nix to go out, but overall, what else can an organization ask for except for a quarterback to be a leader of their team? So, this is a really, really good way for the NFL to look out to work out this season. I'm just really excited about this week, and we'll see how this week goes, and hoping for a good Super Bowl as well.
All right, guys, that's yelling and screaming. We will see you in 2 weeks for our pre-Super Bowl show. Get your picks in, get your bets in, and be sure to drop in the comments who you're taking in these games. We'll see you 2 weeks for the Super Bowl.
All right, take care, guys. Enjoy.